Hi, everyone. I'm Lynn from Memories. I'm so excited to be here with another episode of our caregiver interview series. I'm honored to have Jay with us today. So, Jay, do you mind introducing yourself?
Hi, my name is Jamie, and I live in Honolulu, Hawaii. I've been here since I was about 15 years old,
Uh,
and I take care of my elderly father.
Sounds good.
Um,
Thank you. Thank you for taking time to share your story with us today. Yes, so Jamie, tell us how long you've been a caregiver for.
I was a caregiver actually for a couple different people. When I was a couple years ago, I took care of my elderly grandfather who broke his arm and he couldn't take care of himself. So I kind of took care of him there. And then after I came home, my father started getting like he started aging. And when he got older, his grandfather, I believe, actually had dementia as well, but it skipped a generation. So he ended up with it. He's still in the early onset dementia, but we just got him diagnosed recently. So lately I've been taking care of him. I've been feeding him and, we're playing memory games with him and just doing all the different stuff he needs to get through it every day.
Right. So, in terms of diagnosis, you mentioned that happened recently. How was the
Yes.
experience like?
Well, we took him to the what's it called? We took him to the doctor basically, and they gave him a bunch of tests. I told her my experience because I'm technically his caregiver's person. We told him what we were experiencing with him, and then she did a couple tests with him, like memory tests and different stuff like that. And then she agreed with what we thought was his diagnosis, which was the early dementia. He's progressively getting a little bit worse as time goes on. Like he'll forget to feed himself unless I feed him, or he just doesn't do what he would normally do, what he would have done when he was younger. So
Right. It sounds like you've been noticing something's off for a while
for a
because
little while, he'll repeat stories that he'll tell you, and then he'll tell you a couple minutes later the same story, or he doesn't remember things that happened recently, but he remembers things that happened from a long time ago. And it's just little things like that.
What about your family situation? Can you tell us a little bit about your family situation?
So when I was 18,
Support
we moved away
system?
from my sister who lives in California, and we moved to Hawaii. So my dad's been working and stuff here, and then my parents are both retired now, and I no longer work so that I can take care and make sure that everything stays clear and clean here. And then we have my brothers who live right next door to us. So we're just in this little cute little apartment. Yeah.
So are you and your sisters and brothers taking turns to care for your father?
My brother takes the financial from my dad so he doesn't have to deal with it. And then I help him with a couple little things. And my sister's actually going to come in September. And when she comes, we're going to take his power of attorney for medical. We have the paper for it. And then once we move, we're going to live. We picked an area that's close to where she's going to move to, so we can both take care of him. And it takes kind of the burden off of me, if we can alternate who takes care of him.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a pretty good support system. You have
Yeah.
siblings who are able to get involved as well. So that's great. Um, so what you mentioned about like memory games or activities you do with your father, what kind of things that you kind of play with him to
He
get him engaged?
he has an iPad that is actually my old iPad, and he has a kind of one of those memory games you would give kids to say the different pictures of animals or something, and you have to match them up. He plays that. He plays solitaire. He plays like a mahjong game, and then we have two booklets that have like coloring and word scrambled that we have to let him start playing just to kind of help his mind a little bit.
Yeah, how about his daily activities? You mentioned you're helping a little bit with feeding. What kind of strategies you use to kind of make sure he sticks to a routine?
I feed him basically when he first wakes up. I'll bring him coffee and breakfast at maybe 6:30, and then I'll feed him again at like 11:15, and then he eats dinner close to 3, and then he closes his room and his bedroom, and he does whatever in his room after that. So we don't really see him from like 4 till 6 the next morning. But he goes to sleep really early, and he likes his movies and he plays Sims, and he's got other stuff that keeps him occupied in there. So
Good. How about like a private caregiver? Have you had some need
we
extra help?
We haven't needed one because I've been able to take care of everything, between keeping the house clean, keeping him fed, feeding everybody. And I have some help from my mom too. So it's not like I'm all by myself, but we haven't really needed a private caregiver just because we can kind of give him what he needs. If we find that he's not getting, if he needs more help, then we'll probably call somebody else in. But I think for now we can take care of it. And we try and keep his mood up too. So
that sounds like you're doing, keeping the house clean and taking care of him. So that's a lot of basically you're like a full-time caregiver for him.
Yes. So I basically don't work anymore. I don't work because of my health issues, but I take care of him on top of that. So.
And how do you find that's working out? Like, since you mentioned you have some health issues as well, do you find it's a lot of burden for you?
Long as I have some time to myself to do my own thing, then I'm okay. But if we have our good days and we have our bad days.
Yeah, that's really important to be able to have some time for yourself to do some self-care. What are some things that you like to do that you mentioned that you think that's going to help to relieve stress?
I like to watch movies. I like to play video games. I have a Switch. I watch YouTube videos. I read. I like to read history books. There's a bunch of things I like to do. I play cards. I go out. Sometimes I go out and walk. I like to take pictures. Great. So we live right by the water. So sometimes we go out to the beach and we'll bring him with us and we'll just sit on the water or by the water and we'll just talk.
Yeah, just have some time to relax and connect with the nature and do some things you're used to like. So after your father got the diagnosis, did you look for any resources online or from any groups that were helpful?
I found a dementia support group for caregivers that I found pretty much right after he was diagnosed. And then we actually have a book called The 36-Hour Day that my sister and I both got. And I read the book and I actually highlighted every chapter in different colors. The different things that I found that kind of are part of our life that kind of help us. I just highlighted it and highlighted the chapter so I can look back and read that and say, okay, this is what's going on. This is how we're supposed to take care of it. And it's actually really helped a lot.
Is there anything specific in the book that you found was really just standing out for you?
There is a bunch, there's different times where he'll blame people for certain things, or he, when he doesn't eat, or if some incident happens, and we can go back to the book and say, okay, this is how we're supposed to deal with it. It's a really helpful book.
And it's called 38 hours.
36-hour day.
36 hours day. Okay, perfect. Yeah, that'd be good to look into. Since you mentioned that was helpful. How about support groups or social media? Have you found that they play a role in the caregiving experience?
I haven't really gone to the caregiver support group recently, but I do talk to my sister a lot. She's far away right now, but we'll be closer later. And we kind of talk through, she'll call him every week, and then she'll call me a couple of times a day and we'll talk about what's going on. So if I need to vent or something, I can talk to my sister, and she's a big support. So.
Excellent. Yeah, it's nice to have family who's involved, and you guys can support each other for sure. Yeah. Also wondering about the COVID situation. Has that affected how your dad's routine is like and how you do things?
We can't really go anywhere. I think we're still in tier 3 in Hawaii, and we have a mask, our mask rule. We still have to wear it everywhere we go, even though we're all vaccinated. But we don't really go very many places except for maybe to the store, but I'll go in shopping for him. He'll stay in the car, or we take him to his doctor's appointments. But we don't really go anywhere outside of that right now. So clearly didn't stop anything. I mean, if anything, we don't go out as much as we used to.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest things, not able to go out as much and be with other people. Has your dad been a part of any activity groups or anything?
He used to be a big part of his church. He used to be a big part of a couple organizations here. But when he stopped driving, he broke his hip actually a couple years ago. So he stopped driving, and then he couldn't go to as many things as he wanted to because he didn't really have a ride there. And he had his friend pick him up for church, but he's kind of stopped going to that as well. We didn't know if he was going to fall and hurt himself there. And since we couldn't be there to help him if anything happened, he just kind of stopped going. But we do try and get him out of the house every now and then, have him go on a couple errands and walk around. We bought him a walker with a chair on it so he can push it or he can sit when he needs to. And that kind of helps him out too.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, just wondering about like the role of technology. You mentioned that he has an iPad that he uses to play games. Mm-hmm. Is he able to use a phone? Does he can use a TV?
So he has a TV and he has a smart TV. He has his computer that we got for him. And then he also has a iPhone SE 2020 that he uses. He doesn't really use all the apps on it, but he uses he has games on there, or he knows to call us from there. He can FaceTime with my sister. He's got his iPad, and I think that's about it that he has, but he knows how to use everything that he has. So.
Okay, that's great. Sounds like there's a lot of, he's still maybe at a more of an earlier stage where he's kind of able to do a lot of things.
We also want to get him moved before he kind of goes more downhill so that he knows where he's at, and he's in the process of helping us move as well. He's very much involved in us looking for places and stuff like that, just to kind of make it easier on him.
Mm-hmm. And also you mentioned that he broke his hip, not long ago. Yes. Did he get hospitalized? How was that experience like?
He did get hospitalized for a couple weeks after his surgery, and then he got put into a home for about a month while he recuperated. And then we brought him back home, and he had to learn how to walk back up. We have a step to our house, so he had to learn how to walk back up the step. So it kind of helped him with the walker before, and now he has the walker again, so he can kind of walk around.
Okay, that's great. Sounds like he made a good recovery from that as well.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, so that's great. You gave us a lot of insight into like how your experience has been, and obviously with your dad, he's able to do a lot of things himself as well. He needs a little bit of help, which you and your siblings are able to support. So that's a great to hear from our listeners. Do you have any last advice or final thoughts?
Just take it one day at a time, and if you need to step back, but talk to your person too that's going through this, because they might not understand what's going on, so you want to take a different tone with them maybe when you're having a bad day, and just make sure that they're as comfortable with it as you're trying to be. I think it helps just the approach you go in with it.
Yeah, I really like that you mentioned that you really got your dad involved, try to get him involved as much as possible with moving, with activities giving him time to do some of his, stuff on his phone and iPad so he can be as independent as possible. So that's a great tip for everyone as well. All right, so that concludes another episode of our Memories Caregiver interview series. Please check out memories.com .ca for any other information. And thank you, Jamie. We'll see everyone next time.